was used, and both Josh and Daniel certainly talk and communicate and collaborate quite a bit, so it's easy to see the influences there.
Fantastic. So we're going to get underway. This is the last Swiss round for the Master Division, round number 9. So we're going to see the Groudon and Yveltal come out through Sam's side. And for Josh, we're going to see the Thundurus and Morwell. So straight off the bat, Matt, what do we think of this matchup? Who has the slight indication of a lead here?
I think Sam has the advantage. Morwell can't really do much with its boosted attack, its stab attacks onto the Groudon. Thundurus might actually. I'm wary about the Thundurus. I wouldn't be surprised for Josh to be running some sort of tech on that Thundurus to deal with Groudon, but traditionally you don't expect Thundurus to do well against the Groudon. It is important to note though that Morwell will do considerable damage, if not outright KO the Yveltal. And certainly Thundurus can fire off a Thunderbolt, which will be super effective against the Yveltal. So the Yveltal's not in a strong position, but the Groudon can certainly do quite a bit of work. Yeah,
most definitely. If we do see either a Fire Punch or a Pulse of Blades, it is going to do a hell of a lot of damage to that Morwell, which we assume would be the Mega, if not potentially KO'd as well.
Oh, it'd be unlikely to KO. Remember, Morwell has got the Intimidate drop on both these Pokemon already.
Sure.
So it will survive the Fire Punch, it will survive a Precipice Blades, solely off that Intimidate.
Okay, so we do see the withdrawal of the Yveltal here. He obviously doesn't like that matchup. And he's going into his own Thundurus here, which I think was a smart play. He seemed like he was a little bit intimidated by that Yveltal. Interesting to note as well, he has not Mega'd his Morwell. He decided to go straight for the Protect. Does fire off a Thunderbolt, and off we see the Eruption going there and does some heavy damage. In fact, it does get the KO on the Thundurus. So that's an interesting sort of first turn there, in my opinion.
Certainly a slightly safer first turn. If he went for the Precipice Blades, he could only hit the Morwell. If he went for the Fire Punch, he could only either hit one or the other. The Eruption's good. He was unlikely to take any damage leading to that turn. It's a consistent spread move damage that could hit both Pokemon and certainly do a considerable amount of damage. And also, because it's a special attack, it's not affected by Morwell's Intimidate.
Yep, most definitely. Do you think that he did not Mega that Morwell just because he would like to fire off another Intimidate maybe late game?
Yes, Morwell's speed doesn't change if and when it Mega Evolves. So it's certainly been a strategy, from 2014 onwards, that unless you are going to attack with the Morwell, you don't need to Mega it. So you're only Mega it on the turn you're about to start your offense.
No worries. So that was a strategic play. Look, and there we go. We do see the Morwell return, and it looks like he's going into the Gourgeist, which is the first on the stream. Now, is this the Gourgeist that Daniel Walker used? Because I know he had a shiny Gourgeist, so I wouldn't be surprised if they've shared Pokemon here.
I wouldn't be surprised at all. Like I said, they are Josh Matos and Daniel Walker are strong collaborators here. We see
the School go off on the Kyogre, straight to the Groudon, but the Groudon has decided it's going to protect. Thundurus was able to fire off a Thunderbolt, which did some heavy damage to that Kyogre. Definitely can't take another one of those.
So yeah, he realised, Sam knows that the Kyogre and Morwell are both big threats, and Groudon's survival is almost essential. If Groudon can maintain control of the weather, it denies the Kyogre's offences. It also has a number of ways to put pressure and KO the Morwell. So, that's keeping Groudon around is essential, and we do see him withdraw it to save it for another turn.
Yep, that's right, and we do see the Kangaskhan come into play here. So the Kyogre is actually going to protect here. Be interesting to see what the Gourgeist does. From memory, it was a Trick Room Gourgeist, so we do see the Taunt there. Unfortunately, Sam just picked up on that and went straight for the Taunt and tried to go for the Trick Room and was denied that Trick Room. So Sam seems to be taking the commanding lead here, making some very good predictions. Does have Josh a little bit on the back foot here, I would say. Yeah,
the next play would be, just for Sam to, if he removes Kyogre, then Groudon can just sweep through whatever Joshua has left here. Even if he gets the Sun Up, he can still do, make incredible. Basically make Josh's life miserable.
Yep, most definitely. So we see his Groudon come into play, which has denied Kyogre, as you said. But also, Josh has seen this coming, and he's sort of withdrawn his Kyogre, obviously trying to win the Weather War here. We do see the Intimidate come off here again, which is a smart play here. It is going to cripple that Groudon slightly, and it'll be interesting to see also what the Gourgeist does here. So we do see the Thunderbolt come in, and that does some heavy damage. We see Bullet Seed come off here. So it's doing some small chip damage on this Thunderous. I don't know if it will be able to pick up the KO unless it gets a 5. But even still, it's going to be
4.
close. And, oh, that's unfortunate. May have been able to pick up the KO there. But interesting to see Bullet Seed on that Gorgeist.
The other thing to know is that Thunderous is now, it's so weakened that Sucker Punch from Morwile will be able to pick up a KO. That said, though, that Thunderbolt from Sam's Thunderous did incredible damage to the unmegaed Morwile. So it was a bit of a risky switch in there, but he obviously feels that he needs Kyogre alive in order to take this match.
Most definitely. So, as we said, Sam taking the commanding lead here. We see the Morwile use Protect. Still has not Mega Evolved here, which is interesting. So we do see the Thunderbolt fire off, and the Gorgeist does protect that well. Goes straight for that slot. And we see the Eruption go from the Groudon, which is going to do some heavy damage to that Gorgeist. In fact, that's probably going to get a KO, and yeah, it does get the KO. So, unfortunate case there that the Gorgeist wasn't able really to do a hell of a lot. Did get some chip damage done on that Thunderous, and if it had got that extra Bullet Seed, might have been in a better position here. But unfortunately, we do see the Kyogre here, and all Sam needs to do is withdraw his Groudon, and he will be securing his Weather War.
It was good to know. He threw, the Thunderbolt is resisted by the Gorgeist, but he threw it in there, just in case Josh tried to switch in the Kyogre to avoid, to negate the Eruption. So Sam was sort of fishing for a switch in there. If Kyogre came in, Eruption wouldn't work, but Kyogre would lose to Thunderbolt. It was well played by Sam. He's certainly trying to lock Joshua out of this match, and he's definitely in the prime position. Yeah,
no worries. So we see the Groudon withdraw as we predicted, and we see Kangaskhan come into play here. Josh is now decided to Mega Evolve his Morwile. Sees that it's a prime opportunity to. It's crippled ridiculously though. Going to see what it's able to do here. We're going to see a Taunt come out of Thunderous. We see the Scald come from the Kyogre. It's going straight to that Kangaskhan slot. Nearly KOs it. We see the Iron Head go straight for that Thunderous as well, and that's going to pick up the KO there. So interesting to note that that Kangaskhan now has not Mega Evolved, but it has taken heavy damage, which basically leaves Sam 3 to Josh's 2. But now we do see the Yveltal actually come into play here. So again, it's going to be a tough spot for Josh to see if he can actually come back here. Very unlikely at this stage, I would say. I think right now the best thing to do is to take as much information as you can out of this game and try and regroup for game 2.
We did see the Taunt on the Morwile. That means it can't protect, which means it can be picked off. It's got to attack, which means Sucker Punch from either the Yveltal or the Kangaskhan can pick off the Morwile. And that leaves the other one to pick on the Kyogre. We see the Fake Out into the Morwile. It doesn't do that much at all.
No, it doesn't. So we see a Foul Play come into play here, and it looks like it's going to be targeting that Kyogre, and that does pick up the KO, being that Yveltal's ability combined with strong Dark move, just going to easily pick up the KO. So Maw does flinch here. We do see Sam with 3 remaining Pokemon. Josh now down to 1 at 4 HP. As I said, it's going to be the case of just picking up some information here.
We also do note that firstly, Yveltal is Life Orb, so it's probably a very offensively orientated one. Second thing to note is I wonder if the way that Sam's playing is he's trying to avoid revealing the speed of his Groudon. If we do have a look at that match, while both the Kyogre and Groudon was filled, neither of them attacked at the same turn, at the same speed bracket, so we actually don't know which one is faster.
Most definitely.
So maybe that is why Sam opted for the Yveltal. Its speed tier is unique. There's no risk of speed ties unless there's Xerneas, and there's no Xerneas. So
yeah,
it sort of was a more roundabout way of getting that win. But if he's preserving information about how fast his Pokemon are, it certainly was a smart move.
100%. Also interesting to note that Josh didn't bring his second restricted Pokemon, the Dialga. Whether that was because he didn't feel it could bring much to the table or not, but one's also got a question, how does one come back from that? Like, obviously you've gotten some information out of that, but then again you have Sam who's been quite clever, not revealing all of his cards here. So how does one regroup from that?
It's a bit difficult for Josh. His best option is to get his Trick Room up. But he doesn't have the Mental Herb on the Gorgeist, so he can't block the Taunt from Thunderous. So if he wants to get that Trick Room up, he has to remove that Thunderous, and also he's got to worry about that either that Yveltal or if the sun is up, the Groudon as well. So Josh's team, it's not an incredibly fast team. It does rely a naturally fast team. It does rely on speed control. Unfortunately, he doesn't seem to. His methods of speed control don't seem to have a favourable matchup against Sam. So it'll certainly be tough. But his main priority is to try and remove ways to stop the Trick Room.
Most definitely. Also important to note that these guys are sitting at one game lost throughout the whole of the Swiss round. So it's basically going to determine who does actually secure their spot in the top cut, and the other person is going to have to go on resistance. So we do see the Thundurus here and the Mawile, and we see the Yveltal and Thundurus. So we do see the Mirror Thundurus here again. We see the Yveltal again, and we do see the Mawile again. So I'm pretty sure there's all the same leads as previous game.
Yes, I believe. I've completely forgotten what the leads were.
Very similar leads at the very
similar.
least.
No, I'm sorry. There was a Groudon. Last lead was Groudon. Sam had the Groudon Yveltal. He didn't have his Thundurus. He didn't lead his Thundurus. He had it, but he didn't lead it.
Most definitely. Interesting to see if Josh does decide to Mega Evolve the Mawile a little bit earlier on.
Yeah.
It did try and obviously fire off those Intimidates, but then I honestly felt that the Mawile did take a little bit of unnecessary damage while doing that, obviously not receiving the Mega Boosts. It wasn't really effectively able to use those Intimidates to his advantage.
I was still surprised to see Sam leading with the Yveltal again. Although looking, it doesn't really have a favourable matchup against the Thundurus Mawile. Although if he didn't lead it and Daniel does lead the Gorgeist there, that's an opportunity to get a Trick Room up. So
yeah, most definitely. So we do see the Thunderbolt fire off onto the Thundurus, and it looks like they're going to trade Thunderbolts. Interesting to note, they do similar damage, but I think Sam's just did a little bit more. We see the Mawile going for that Play Rough, obviously going straight for that Yveltal, not wanting to leave that lying around. Interesting kind of first turn here, trading on the Thunderbolts, and then not a lot more extra happening.
Well, there was no loss for no real risk involved for going for that play off the Yveltal. Sam doesn't have much that resisted that could switch in and take it. So trading the Thunderbolts is good. It's now put both Thundurus within range of Sucker Punches from either the Mawile or the Yveltal. So
yeah, most definitely.
It's a bit of an interesting thing. Will they try and go for the Sucker Punch, remove the Thunduruses, or will they try and continually exchange damage there?
Most definitely. So we do see the switch out of the Thundurus here on Josh's side, and he's going to go into his Gorgeist. And Sucker Punch is going through, and it fails. The Thunderbolt is getting fired off, and it goes into the Mawile slot, doing some serious damage. We do see the Play Rough connect, and he's going straight for that Thundurus, meaning that he cannot taunt that Gorgeist. So great play there by Josh.
It is great play, but it's also it's a great play that removes the Thundurus, which could stop the Gorgeist. But if it's still not a good thing, Sam now has a free switch into his Groudon. And Yveltal with, foul play could ease, I'm quite sure it could easily cause considerable damage to the Gorgeist. The optimal move here would be for, Sam to erupt, but if Kyogo switched in, then that's obviously going to completely fizzle out.
This is the game of chess that we constantly kept talking about. The mind games do take its toll. So, as an experienced player, Matt, what would you do in this scenario if you were Josh?
If I was Josh? Ooh, that's a hard question, actually. Mainly because I'm actually not that experienced with this sort of play style. I would try and... I would run the risk. I would try and protect them all and I would try and get that Trick Room up, and basically I would start hoping that I would be able to survive that and hope that Sam is wary of the Kyogo switch in and doesn't try and do an eruption. Again, his destiny is not his own.
Yeah, that's fine. Here we go. We're going to see the Thundurus actually come into play here. And we do see the Mawile protect here. So I think he's going to actually just test the waters here, see how it goes, maybe potentially get a free switch in. Does go for the knockoff here, and does get the KO of the Thundurus. We are going to see if the Groudon does go for that eruption. And also reveals the Lumberry there. Groudon uses the Hidden Power. Interesting. We did see a Hidden Power Groudon yesterday from Phil Boom Guy. So what do you think that Groudon's carrying on that Hidden Power? Do you think that's a Hidden Power Ice?
I think that was a Hidden Power Ice, and I think that might have been going into the Gorgeist.
Right, okay.
which was Sam's best move. If he removes Gorgeist, he removes Trick Room, he maintains speed control,
Sure.
etc., etc. The switch into Thunderous was that obviously Josh didn't want to send in Kyogre and risk taking Precipice Blades. He only saw that Sam had Eruption last game. He doesn't know if he's a mixed Groudon or a full special one. Now we've seen the Hidden Power Ice. I'm leaning towards a full special one, but
Yeah, I would agree.
he's still not in a great position here. It's also interesting to note, when I made this prediction, I forgot that Yveltal was intimidated from earlier in the game. So Sam would have needed to double into that Gorgeist.
Most definitely. So we do see the Kangaskhan coming in here. He's decided to withdraw his Groudon. Moore is also being withdrawn here, and looks like he's going to bring back his Gorgeist. So interesting there. Not 100% sure what he's going to be doing with this Kyogre, whether he's going to opt for that Scald and potentially get some damage done on that Kangaskhan, but unfortunately goes for that Yveltal, and actually that Yveltal did protect, so a little bit of a waste of a turn there for the Kyogre. If he opted to go for that Kangaskhan, at least he could have got some heavy damage done on it.
Yeah, he was obviously expecting some sort of switch in. If he had the Water Spout, oh no, he might not have gone for the Water Spout because the Yveltal is likely faster than the Kyogre, and a foul play would drop damage to Water Spout. So the Skull was certainly a safer turn. He feels that the Yveltal is probably the biggest threat to his Kyogre at the moment, and he couldn't leave the Mawile in,
Sure.
being as slow as it was. So it's interesting though. He's now actually at a bit of an optimal turn to go for his the Trick Room, but we see him withdraw the Gorgeist.
Yes, we do. And he's going back into the Mawile, which is quite interesting. So, going to see if the Kangaskhan is going to Mega Evolve, of course, but we're also going to see if he decides to go for a Fake Out or if he opts to go for a attacking move such as Double Edge of sorts. So, we do see the foul play come out from the Yveltal. It looks like it is going for that Kyogre. Does a hefty amount there, under 50% left on the Kyogre. We do see the Double Edge come into play. Is he going to double up on it? He is going to double up on it, and that is going to secure the KO. And Josh is not real happy about that.
Sam, on the other hand, is very happy about that.
Oh, no reason not to be. Again, Sam just seems to be having a commanding lead here yet again for the game too.
It's he's like last game. He's removed the Kyogre. He now has Weather Control. Josh's last two Pokemon are both weak to fire. Sam can simply just bring in Groudon and use Eruption.
Most definitely.
But it'll be interesting to see though, because Gorgeist here could still technically get off a Trick Room. Kangaskhan cannot really touch it unless it attacks. Yveltal can still touch the Gorgeist, but I doubt it'll KO due to the Intimidate from the turn 1. So it's not over yet, but I certainly think that Sam is, in an optimal position here. Josh has to rely on, firstly, Sam making mistakes, and secondly, a lot of damage rolls and luck rolls to go his way.
So we see the knockoff coming in, and it does a hefty amount, knocking off the Focus Sash of Gorgeist. We're going to see Gorgeist make a move here, and he finally gets up his Trick Room here. I'm not sure if it's going to be too late for that, though.
Yeah, I think it is. I think it is too late, although... No, it is too late. There is... If he attacks, he's vulnerable to Sucker Punch. If he goes for a tech move, it still leaves... we see the Mawile go for the Protect again. So it's a double Protect. We see the Sucker Punch go into what was likely the Yveltal. We see a Bullet Seed come out onto Kangaskhan.
Don't think that's going to be enough to be putting it into KO range, unless he does secure several crits.
Well, actually, no, it's interesting to note, though, that Dark Aura is up on the field. Dark Aura will boost Mawile Sucker Punch.
Right, he does get 2 crits on that. It does get 5, so interesting to note there.
So I think I see what Josh is going for. Josh wants to, he can Sucker Punch to remove the Kang. I think I know what he's doing for the Gorgeist, but just, I also thought I knew a lot of things yesterday, and turns out I knew them because I cheated.
I kind of think I know what he's trying to do here as well, and if he pulls it off, he's still got a shot, I reckon. But I'm gonna we'll see that it does switch. You see the skill swap switches the Insomnia with the Parental Bond thing that Gorgeist can now fire off multiple. Oh, this game's getting good.
All right, so we see...
Okay, so we do see the KO on the Yveltal here. We do see the double-edged fire off here against the Morwile.
Certainly was enough. I think,
Yeah.
It's Josh is he's playing a very interesting game here. I think if Morwile had managed to survive that, I think he might have actually been able to take out the match. You know, certainly removing the parental bond from Kangaskhan was a wise idea and could certainly lead into something else. For those of you wondering what we're talking about, Daniel Walker, who used Gorgeist to come second at Sydney Regionals, he ran Destiny Bond on his Gorgeist.
That's correct.
So if Morwile had survived this, if Gorgeist had Destiny Bond, he could Destiny Bond to remove Groudon, remove...
It would have removed the Groudon and it would have secured him the win, basically, which would have been amazing.